I tell you what, it has been a while since we've been this cool. Coming up, I'll use jelly beans to help put today's forecast in perspective and what this potential record cold means for you and me here in Southwest Florida. That's coming up right after the break. All of these red jelly beans represents a record high temperature that has been observed in the city of Fort Myers going back to 2015. By comparison, we have had 188 record high temperatures set just since 2015 compared to only 7 record cold temperatures. And this is the same cell that produced what looks like to be a tornado over areas near St. Petersburg and moved right over top of the Howard Franklin Bridge. Right there was a lot of rotation over top of that bridge on 275. After it made that 13-mile journey from Pinellas Park and over the bay, it lifted for a period of time and then touched down once again very close to the Lakeland area. Fort Myers villas and neighborhoods near Cypress Lake. Right here, for instance, is McGregor Boulevard. And just in these neighborhoods, very close to the intersection of Gladiolus and US 41, we have now had 55 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes in just the past 15 minutes. You see, right now, the winds are moving in this offshore fashion here over Southwest Florida. Offshore simply means that the air is moving from land and toward the water. And it's all because of how the air is spinning around the center of Tropical Storm Eta, which right now is a little more than 90 miles to the west and the southwest of the Marco Island area. To show you how that works here, this is a look at the water levels right now in Virginia Key, which is just to the south of Miami Beach on the Atlantic coast of South Florida. And right now, those water levels are running about 2 feet above predicted levels. And all of this haze that you see here in the foreground is some patchy fog not related to the fire that's been overspreading parts of the Fort Myers area. Now, the fire itself is, like I mentioned before, here just to the south of downtown Fort Myers, to the north of Crystal Drive, so north of where all the residential areas are. You see how these are moving from the southwest over Cancun and toward the northeast, like toward Cuba and South Florida. That's what's encouraging the system to make this movement toward the northeast over the weekend. But unlike things like the wind speed and the temperature, which you can consult a single tool or instrument for to figure out what they are, the wind chill involves a little bit of math, and you'll need to get a calculator, because to find the wind chill, you actually have to do this math formula.
Today at 3.
Have you heard of something called the Great Conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn? I've recruited my good buddies Jason Dunning and Rachel Dunzing. We'll show you what it's doing here over the next few days using flashlights today at 3 on NBC2. Now, when you look up in the night sky, and since we're talking about night, why don't we kill the lights here and make it like we're outside? What you're looking for in the southwest sky are those 2 bright lights. Again, Jason is Jupiter and Rachel is Saturn. So over the past few months, Jason Jupiter has been moving closer and closer to the planet Saturn. So that's like the month of September and the month of October and the month of November. The first question you should ask yourself is, how fast is this hurricane moving? Because slower storms produce a lot more storm surge than faster storms. Remember last year when Hurricane Dorian was stationary over top of the Bahamas? Well, in that period of time when Dorian wasn't moving anywhere, it was producing storm surge values in excess of 20 feet on the Bahamas. Reason why is the storm itself wasn't going anywhere, so that wind had a ton of time to push a lot of water on shore. The next time you whip up a batch of muffins or cookies for your family, there's actually a way you can relate that to how hurricanes form. In order to form some great looking muffins, I have to have all the ingredients, I have to bake them at the right temperature, and I have to bake them at the right time. To form a hurricane, I have to have all 4 of these ingredients, all 4 things you should listen to when you watch NBC2 throughout hurricane season. Make sure you do that old trick where you take the back of your hand and you lay it on top of the driveway or the sand or the concrete. Ouch. If you can't leave it there for more than 7 seconds, it's too hot for you and it's too hot for the dog.
I'm gonna go with 12, Rob.
Nate was right on here. Very busy year, but especially for the state of Louisiana. The United States ended up with 12 systems making landfall, but 5 of them actually happened in Louisiana, including Laura, Delta, Zeta, Cristobal, and Marco. And even though a pail of sand can weigh quite a bit, individual pieces of sand weigh like hardly anything, and of course they're really, really small. This means that when you get very windy weather over the Sahara Desert of Africa, these little individual pieces of sand can be picked up by the winds and lofted miles and miles and miles away from Western Africa. So why don't we together do something special and talk about the journey of this Saharan air layer from Western Africa all the way here to the Sunshine State in Florida.
Unfortunately, I had the glasses already, Rob, back in 2016.
2017,
Yeah.
completely blocked by the clouds. It was very dark though.
Bummer.
Yeah, the cloud cover can always be a real issue. And the next one that's actually visible in the United States, we may have cloud cover issues once again because it happens during the month of April, and it's areas of the Great Lakes that have the best viewing of it. So as you know, the weather can be kind of fickle in the Great Lakes in April, so we shall see. But if you're curious as to what exactly causes this absolutely incredible phenomenon, it's basically when the moon just happens to find itself directly between the sun and the earth. And when that happens, the moon casts this giant shadow on the earth. Now, obviously, the whole earth doesn't go inside the shadow. Typically, it's only a very small sliver of the earth. And with the total eclipse that happened today, the only areas that were able to actually see things kind of go dark like they did in Chile was here across the very southern tier of South America. It was inside this orange shaded in area where that total eclipse path of totality was observed. So some areas over the Pacific, Chile, Argentina, and then across the Atlantic Ocean. Now, as I mentioned before, there is an opportunity for you to catch an upcoming total solar eclipse, but you'll have to drive and you'll have to pack your patience because it does not happen until April 8th, 2024, but it will be visible in parts of Mexico, the United States, and Canada. And the prime viewing areas, like I mentioned before, will be areas of the Great Lakes. Cities like Indianapolis and Cleveland, Erie, and Buffalo will have a great opportunity to see a total solar eclipse because that's the path of totality for this upcoming total solar eclipse in 2024. We won't see it here in South Florida, so if you want to see it for yourself, you'll have to take a drive. But make your hotel reservations early because when this happens, typically the hotels inside the path of totality can book up months and months in advance. So check it out. But remember, the weather can be kind of gross sometimes in the spring, like in April in the Great Lakes. So cloud cover could certainly be an issue, but something, of course, we can't get a good grasp on until we get a lot closer to the actual date of that happening. Today would be a lousy day for an eclipse here in Fort Myers because we still have a lot of cloud cover outside thanks to a front that's helping to bring some rain and some clouds to the area. That's also cooling things off a little bit with temperatures right now at the International Airport in Fort Myers at 73 degrees. Now, obviously, the radar picture is a lot quieter than it was earlier today as we're really not seeing much of anything in the way of shower activity. We did, remember to recall, have some showers and downpours out here earlier today out ahead of the actual front. So for tonight, as we hold on to some cloud cover, that front just kind of falls apart right over top of us. We don't see a big drop in temperature tonight. Lows are looking to fall back to around 62 tonight in Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte, 64 in Fort Myers, 65 in the Cape, and a similar temperature profile tonight for areas like Naples and Marco Island. Like I mentioned before, today's front, it's kind of a weak one as we don't really see much in anything in the way of a temperature drop, but there's another cold front coming toward like the midweek time frame, and that one is a lot stronger, and we have a better chance for some rain when it gets here, and also a much better opportunity for seeing those temperatures kind of tick downward as it moves away from us. Now, in terms of timing, this is how things look early on Wednesday. Pay attention to what happens over the water on Wednesday, because at least during the daytime hours, most of the showers and thunderstorms with this next cold front should be over top of the Gulf. But as we get toward late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning, that's when we have our best opportunity for some rain from cold front number 2, and then we see a nice drop in temperature as we get toward Thursday and Friday. So the way things shake out right now temperature-wise is highs only top out in the low and mid-70s on Thursday and Friday, with at least a few nights of temperatures dropping back into the upper 40s and low 50s. Back to you. All right, so take a close look at your TV screen here, and what you'll notice is that the infrared satellite picture of what is now dubbed Invest 96L, a big tropical disturbance that's right now over top of the Bahamas, but is moving westward and is set to impact our local weather forecast as early as today, and then throughout the upcoming weekend, bringing us some spells of heavy rain. But what does this all mean? What does Invest 96L mean? If you've heard that phrase before in the past, well, simply put, the word invest is just kind of a technical term that is used by the National Hurricane Center, and all it really means is that the area of weather that we're monitoring is dubbed an area of investigation. What happens now is that the Hurricane Center runs specific forecast models on it, tropical weather forecast models, and we can get a better idea as to what the likelihood of development would be, and if it is able to develop, where it's going to eventually move. Now, new in the past hour, the Hurricane Center has actually raised the odds of development on that feature over the Bahamas as it moves toward the west. It now has up to a 60% 60% chance inside the next 2 days of becoming at least a tropical depression. And in the 5-day outlook, those odds have now been raised to 70%. And again, it becoming at least a tropical depression as the feature moves toward the west. So why don't we do some analysis here together? Because regardless of what name this may get, our impacts here at home, they do not change for the upcoming weekend. So what impacts can we expect? Well, let's take a wider look here with a wide view of the tropical infrared satellite picture. You'll notice here, we can take the graphics full. That infrared satellite picture shows a bunch of showers and downpours and thunderstorms over areas of the Bahamas. And like I mentioned before, it's all moving toward the west. Now, because this has been dubbed an invest area, like we mentioned just a moment ago, a roundup of what some of these tropical weather forecast models show is at the center of whatever tries to spin up here is moving in our direction. It's moving toward the west and the northwest. Remember what these lines tell you. They're showing you what individual forecast models are saying would be the center point of whatever tropical feature tries to spin up. But it's not telling you how strong that weather feature may be. The most likely scenario right now is that it stays either just a tropical disturbance or becomes a tropical depression and moves over us as we get toward the upcoming weekend. But like I mentioned a moment ago, this really isn't a wind threat for us, it's a rain opportunity for us. We're looking at a line of downpours and thunderstorms in the afternoon today and throughout the day tomorrow as the tropical moisture from this tropical disturbance, now dubbed Invest 96L, as that moves over us throughout the entire day tomorrow. We're looking for things to be rather soggy, unfortunately. That means waves of showers and downpours across the area with, of course, some embedded thunderstorms, bringing us the opportunity for some locally heavy rain once again. Now remember, really each afternoon this week, we have seen areas of isolated street flooding in some communities that have seen some pretty decent amounts of rain. And it's going to be a similar setup for us for the upcoming weekend. What this is doing is showing you what the potential rainfall would be from like right now all the way through Monday morning. And notice that pretty much everybody, especially in parts of West Collier, Western Lee, and Western Charlotte County, can expect several inches of rain. But you see where these shades of orange and red are? Well, that's showing you where rain opportunities are closer to like 3-4 inches. So if the whole system is to say move more like say 40-50 miles toward the east, we may be able to tap in some of those more significant rain amounts as this disturbance moves over top of South Florida throughout the upcoming weekend. So we really have to watch it as it moves toward the west. But again, regardless if it becomes a tropical depression as it moves closer toward us, the impacts here, they don't change. It's just a rain event with some times of gusty wind as it moves across the peninsula this upcoming weekend. Now, in addition to what we have to watch that's very close to home, we're also watching Renee and Paulette, two systems that are moving toward the west and the northwest. And this one way out here, just off the west coast of Africa. Hurricane Center says there's up to a 90% chance in the next 5 days that also becomes at least a tropical depression. So lots for us to watch, but just focus on what's close to home right now, as what's over the Bahamas brings us a good opportunity of some times of heavy rain over the next 2 days.
All right.